Ninja Gaiden. This is a series that I've spent a good amount of time talking about on this channel for about five videos now. I've covered the 3D Ninja Gaiden games from their beginnings in Sigma/Black all the way through to Yaiba, which took this series out back and shot it in the head in 2014. When I decided I was going to cover all of these games, I expected Yaiba to be the end of it, and this series would just stay in Koei Tecmo purgatory forever, ending on maybe the worst note possible. In a surprising turn of events, here we are. A new Ninja Gaiden game in the Big 25. Keeping the introduction short and simple, Ninja Gaiden Ragebound is a 2D action side-scroller developed by The Game Kitchen and published by Dotemu, Joystick, and of course Koei Tecmo. This is the first genuine, not remade or re-released, new Ninja Gaiden game we've seen in 11 goddamn years. And overall, it's safe to say that this series is in something of a little revival period as of 2025. The Ninja Gaiden games need no introduction at this point on the channel, and this video is meant to be a continuation of the 5-part Ninja Gaiden retrospective series I've been doing on Brain Alert forever. And overall, there's not too much to say in the way of development deep diving this time around, although I'd be remiss if I didn't address the biggest elephant in the room. In an ironic twist, this series' rebirth follows suit in the same fashion it died, with a new protagonist, and not being developed by Team Ninja. The last entry in this series was headed by small Western developer Spark Unlimited, a company whose short-lived, hideous career crashed and burned in a cloud of acrid smoke after the release of Yaiba Ninja Gaiden Z in 2014. This time around, the next Ninja Gaiden title has been handled by Spain-based indie studio The Game Kitchen, widely known for their wildly popular, masterful side-scroller action platformer duology, Blasphemous. These are stupidly good games that I actually might go ahead and cover someday on this channel. But before I go on a long-winded tangent on how awesome the Blasphemous games are, the point is that the Game Kitchen has a pretty immaculate track record as opposed to the last time Koei Tecmo thought it was a good idea to outsource this series to a different studio. It's been proven time and time again that despite this concept of Dragon Ninja vs. Bad Guys being, in theory, hard to fuck up, it continues to somehow be fucked up either through sheer incompetence, lack of self-awareness, or misguided attempts for wider appeal. Despite going into Ragebound knowing that the Game Kitchen is a goated company, Keiji Inafune is nowhere in sight, and maybe Team Ninja never learned their lesson from the past two games, and it might be a good thing they're sitting this one out, I couldn't help but be slightly pessimistic that this one still has the slimmest possible chance of being another Ninja Gaiden bomb. I've never been happier to be wrong. I am pleased as punch to tell you guys that Ninja Gaiden Ragebound is fucking amazing. There you go. If that's the answer you were looking for and want to try it, you can click off now, because we're about to play all of it. I'm not even going to spend more time on this bitch-ass intro. We're just going to go right into the game and talk about why this is so fucking good. Here's the title screen. Let's get started. Ragebound starts off with a short prologue featuring none other than series protagonist Ryu's father, Joe Hayabusa, writing his will in the face of a suicide mission. He intends to leave the Dragon Sword with Ryu and instructs his son to leave for America if he doesn't come back with the milk. And so, for the time being, this game opens with us playing as Ryu's dad. I know this is riffing on the NES games, but this is already off to a crazy start with that alone. Joe's looking pretty good considering everything this guy has gone through, and I like the fact that the continuity is kept with him being blind following his duel with Genshin. Honestly, he looks about the same, minus cleaning up his stubble. No white outfit though. Anyways, this is a pretty short prologue mission without much to say or really show beyond a nostalgic callback and getting a feel for the general gist of the game. I did always say I wanted a game where we could play as this guy, though I was hoping for more of like a prequel, to be honest, but I'll take it in 2D throwback sequel form as well. Angry Joe makes his way to his opponent, a ninja in white, and the two quickly exchange blows, and the battle ends in one move. So you're telling me this guy died from this and not falling like 5 stories in a burning tower? Alright, sure dude. We jump back to the Hapygourious village, where we see our boy in black training with an unfamiliar face. This is Kenji, our protagonist and dragon ninja in training. Ryu is clearly not satisfied with Kenji's progress and says he'll never reach his full potential if he doesn't lock in and take this shit seriously. He's talking to you too, by the way, like the player. So this is the real introductory tutorial to the game, a full-on obstacle course dojo. It's pretty effective, nothing really to harp on here, so instead we'll talk about Kenji's design. This is a pretty solid Ninja Gaiden OC. Ryu's 3D era gimp suit is iconic and a mainstay in the franchise by this point, but I'll gladly take a more traditional ninja look any day of the week. Hell, I even fucked with Yaiba's design for the very same reason, and Kenji here is no exception. It should also go without saying that this is very obviously a throwback to Ryu's traditional NES gi. You can even wear the exact costume after beating the game like every Ninja Gaiden title, but I'd be remiss if I didn't mention it. Overall, it's an interesting remix of a few of Ryu's designs all rolled up into one, but has enough originality to stick out as his own character. Still couldn't tell you why this guy wasn't one of the village kids from Dragon Sword though, but that's not really a big deal. Kenji's introduction is short and sweet, and his brief dialogue with Ryu tells us about everything we need to know. He's young, strong-willed, sorta inexperienced, and just a little cocky. He's starting off strong, but the guy clearly has room to grow, and Ryu definitely sees the potential, running this dude through a series of trials until he hits the final one, a duel with the Dragon Ninja himself. This shit is fucking awesome. Props to the devs at the Game Kitchen for getting the most out of Ryu's legally required screen time early on, with a proper duel to match. I think it's sorta neat how we started with Ryu facing a Master Ninja during his training, to being that Master Ninja at the end of Kenji's. Truth be told, the guy is being pretty soft on his pupil, if you look at what kind of training Mirai put Ryu through. That fortress was a goddamn death trap with live targets, compared to this Weenie Hut Jr.'s bullshit Kenji just navigated. Sprite work also deserves some praise here for these moves being 1-to-1 his attacks from the 3D games. Literally, when that neuron activation kicked in, I was putting belt to ass against this guy. But you didn't seriously think Ryu would lose in his own series, did you? Not too dissimilar from Doku's fight in Sigma, you're meant to lose this battle. I mean, you can try to beat it, but even then Ryu's gonna swoop in with the classic Izuna drop! And the fight's over. Abruptly, shit jumps off in the Hapygourious village. Because of course. And the local shrine maiden rolls in to give us the bad news. The village is under attack. Again, Ryu jumps to save his people, but not before the maiden informs the guy that his dad just got slimed in a grass field under the moonlight. And Ryu leaves to honor his father's wishes to take care of business in America. He entrusts the situation unfolding here in Japan to Kenji, reminding him to find his inner peace, whatever that means. And that's the last of Ryu we see for the whole game. Alright. Now our first actual taste of the game. We're thrown right into a demon-infested Hapygourious village, and Kenji's gotta save the day. We get a bare-bones feel for the type of game we're looking at here, the basic gist being squishy enemies and armored ones. Squishy guys go down in one hit, armored ones are gonna take a couple more. Some are straight up invulnerable. You can defeat them with a powered up strike that you can gain via slaying specially marked enemies, or sacrificing a chunk of health. You can climb walls and... oh, wait a minute. I recognize that! No shit, we got fucking gold scarabs! Kenji can climb walls, dodge, enemy step, basically outmaneuver and outposition foes to take them out with surgical precision. This might come as a shock to some, but I actually don't really fuck with side-scrollers that much. Was never a big fan of Metroid, Castlevania, or, well, most Metroidvanias. Why did we collectively decide to call them this name, by the way? Who comes up with this shit? Maybe it's a generational thing since I'm from the era of the PS3 and the world's most powerful hardware, Xbox 360, given I was born in 2004. But I was never a fan of the 2D side-scroller era, not as a kid or really as an adult. I did not care for Cuphead. I did not care for Hollow Knight. I did not care for Dead Cells. I did not care for Oh, that's a lie. I love that game. That's an exception. Anyways, point is that sometimes you just kind of need that one game that switches something in your brain to finally get it. And Ragebound might have just done that for me. We've hardly scratched the surface of this game mechanically, and I fucks with it heavy. It just controls so tight and quickly, and the feedback is just good start so far. They didn't skimp out on the designs either. The sprite work is masterful. Some of these fiends really put a handful of the Team Ninja designs to shame, like these red demons. Where the fuck were these for the past how many games? Level design is also pretty good off the bat. Secret areas aren't too obscure but aren't painfully obvious either. You'll probably be double taking here and there when you see a gap or random ledge that seems just out of place. The main goodies in these areas are the crystal skulls from Ninja Gaiden 2. A test of valor, huh? Yeah, I know a lot about that. These are mostly for getting completion on your end level results screen, but also for some other stuff down the line. Regardless, it should come as no surprise that these levels aren't exactly lengthy. Matter of fact, we're already at the end of the first mission, facing off against this big-ass Greater Fiend we saw earlier. This guy, Girthka, is our first actual boss of the game, and after some brief shit-talking, we're already at it. This is a solid introductory challenge, a good litmus test to show if you were really paying attention that whole time or just drooling mouth open while mashing buttons. Girthka has basic attack patterns that Kenji can either iframe dodge through or just enemy step till the fucking cows come home. You'll occasionally get these skulls with hypercharge to stun the boss, and that's basically the whole set piece. Most of this does just feel like wailing on the guy, and it feels sort of predictable. Oh, that's not good. Well, you can't get me if I'm up here. Okay. Sorry. Taking advantage of everything Kenji's got until now should leave this fight feeling manageable at worst, if not pretty easy at most. Kenji spares the fiend, and it takes the opportunity to skedaddle while it still can, claiming they'll fight later. Definitely not the last time we're seeing him then. We end the level on Kenji leaving the village in search of the origin of the demon scourge, suspecting the Black Spider Clan, our classic rivals, may be behind it all, as they usually are. The village is a smoldering ruin for the third time now, and it's probably safe to assume it's their fault again. When you set a precedent for these types of things, it tends to follow you. Well, it's off to Mount Fuji, since the demons are seemingly pouring out of the mountain, so there's no better place to start. Makes a lot of sense considering there was a literal portal to hell inside this thing last time we were here in the series. Kenji's pretty much taking the same path Ryu did up the mountain in Ninja Gaiden 2, and honestly, you're gonna see a lot of story beats repeated from that game here in a bit. No fucking shit. Muramasa's here too! Nice to see he's still in good health. Genuinely wonder if he's still gonna be around in Ninja Gaiden 4 after all this. Anyways, Muramasa's our guy for upgrades. Only in Ragebound, you don't directly upgrade Kenji's equipment, but rather buy these talismans that'll provide passive abilities. Kenji can only have 2 equipped at a time, and I can gladly say that these do well to add some level of variety to the combat. No rice ball dinner this time around. My broke ass gotta stop expecting food from this guy. The trip up Mount Fuji is a little different here. This place feels... Hey, wait a second. No way I missed this shit on my first run through. Exploration has always felt like one of the strong points of this series, initially with Ninja Gaiden Black, but I felt as if it kind of fell to the wayside with 2 and 3. Nice to see there's some incentive here to keep your attention on all your surroundings, and not just whatever's closest to you. Something that begins to become more obviously important as the level progresses. Pretty soon we're swinging through these trees and somehow these motherfuckers got jetpacks. I really shouldn't say somehow or even be surprised. This is the same series with a cybernetic dinosaur with metallic skin implants. They could throw a sentient tire at Kenji at this point, and I wouldn't be shocked. It begs the question what clan these guys are from. They don't look like Black Spider Ninja, and there's these random wandering Ronin too. I'm surprised we haven't seen any Ronin or Samurai type enemies more often in the 3D era. I literally think it was just the foot soldiers in the Hayabusa village in the first game, and that's it. Like, yeah, the whole modern slash semi-futuristic shtick of the Black Spider Clan was cool in 2. 3, I don't even fucking know what half the roster was supposed to be. But we did get classic ninjas. More enemies like these would have been nice to see, I think. Oh. It insta-kills. I don't know what I expected. A lot of death pits in this level. They make pretty good use of it with the jetpack guys. Not to mention the addition of these huge fuckers with these windmill shurikens. Honestly, the enemy variety is pretty goated so far. Up here we can catch this red fiend playing Tickle Monster with an unfortunate victim. Only thing is that these are actually a bunch of soldiers. Wait a sec, that can't be good. These are US soldiers. Up near the base of the mountain, our suspicions are confirmed when we're face to face with Barack Obama! Oh wait, I'm sorry. Ryu Hayabusa? Shit, no, I'm Hayabusa?! This agent mistakes us for the antique-loving ninja of legend, but corrects himself shortly after, stating that he's a tool of the CIA and he needs our immediate help. Apparently, the CIA's been monitoring the situation at Mount Fuji all the way back since Genshin was still in power over at the old Black Spider Clan, which makes chronological sense. Only this time, they're not concerned with a demon statue, but rather the actual portal to hell within the mountain. Someone's been fucking with the thing, trying to release yet another powerful demon lord to kill, enslave, or otherwise mildly inconvenience humanity. Kenji lets him know that the CIA just isn't built for this shit, and he'll take care of it from here. Inside, sure enough, that's a portal to hell, alright. Like any well-meaning Hayabusa ninja, Kenji throws himself face first into the underworld, and we're greeted by Grichka again. One short villain monologue later and we're already at it. Round 2 with this big, nasty fucker. Arena's a bit different, but it's nothing I can't handle at this point in the game. The Last Dance talisman you can buy for Muramasa makes this fight a breeze, provided you're on your toes at low health. Also, hitting any boss with hypercharge will slap them against the wall and put them in a stun state to do some big damage. You'll always have an opportunity to do this as long as you actually land the hit. Unless you're like me and just swing wildly like a fly just buzzed past Kenji's ear or something. That's enough from Grichka. This guy was all talk. Speaking of talk, Kenji spares this nasty bitch again, instead opting to interrogate the demon to figure out what's going on here. I respect the balls on this guy, but respectfully, this is a horrible idea. Grichka spits some intrigue out at first, claiming he's one of 4 greater fiends that guard the Demon Lord, and that his arrival is imminent. Kenji, of course, just has to talk back with the most cocky response possible, and Grichka offers our hero a slice of humble pie in the form of a massive fucking suicide bomb. Now, I like Kenji so far, but come on, bro, you're not out here moving like Dante, you can't be playing like that. So Kenji's in the demon realm, half dead, face down in the mud, and awakes to a mysterious voice. A black spider ninja's here too, also down on her luck. She claims Kenji has no idea the gravity of the situation, saying they've both been baited pretty bad, and gives him the rundown on how she ended up here. Ending Act 1. Who is this? Why is she here? Am I really supposed to believe this is an Ayane in disguise? We'll have to figure all of this out in Act 2. Act 2 is our introduction to Ragebound's other protagonist, Kumori, a kunoichi of none other than the Black Spider Clan. Man, first we got a playable Joe Hayabusa section, now we actually play as a Black Spider Ninja? 2 acts in and this is already running laps around most of Team Ninja's ideas for this franchise. She's playing bodyguard for the leadership of the clan at their HQ. Annoyed that they're taking their sweet time in a meeting, and that no one's even dumb enough to attack their headquarters directly. Though this guy thinks differently. Oh, poor guy. It sucks to be right sometimes, doesn't it? So, Kumori. She plays pretty similarly to Kenji, apart from her main attack solely being ranged kunais. Her slide attack's unique, her leaping attack's unique, but apart from that, it's nothing too crazy. On the other hand, it's interesting to finally see just where the fuck the Black Spider Clan has been operating out of for the entire series now. Now it actually makes sense why they have a mix of both traditional chainmail wearing hooded ninjas and these weird Spec Ops Splinter Cell guys. They simply operate in a more modern environment compared to the Hayabusa clan's more traditional way of life, which is a awesome concept of rival ninja clans in a contemporary setting. I'm sure this was the implication from Ninja Gaiden 2 onwards, but still, it's cool to see these ideas actually expanded upon in current releases. This synthesis of the modern and the ancient is always something I thought defined the visual and aesthetic identity of this series. Like that fusion of both styles is distinctly Ninja Gaiden. It's been the backbone of this series' art direction since Ninja Gaiden Black, and I'd honestly go as far to say the NES games. Even Yaiba has elements of this sprinkled in here and there, though it's mostly seen in the design of Yaiba himself being a cyborg ninja wearing antiquated gi. But I digress. The Game Kitchen absolutely has a firm understanding of Ninja Gaiden's unique stylistic flair, and right now it's mega evident in these visuals. I'm really just eating this shit up right now. The skyscraper action here is immaculate. Really, this series has convinced me that ninjas and skyscrapers are an insane combination that just go extremely hard at all times. Team Ninja and Platinum seem to pick up on this pairing because Ninja Gaiden 4 almost looks like it's going fucking overboard with this idea. You're telling me this is Tokyo? Like the same one from Ninja Gaiden 3? Ninja Gaiden 2 even? I'll stop myself now and save for that video. Next thing up for discussion is Komori's design. This is her introductory chapter and I've spent none of it actually talking about her. This is some solid character design right here. The color choices, the outfit, hairstyle. It might just be me, but like something about her hair just looks really cool. I haven't seen this shape before. It's awesome. Also, the spider back tattoo is a nice touch. I don't know. I think she gives the other purple ninja lady in this series a run for her money, at least aesthetically. Now, in a duel to the death, Ayane clears, I'm afraid. I know. Okay, sound the alarm, everybody. I'm a glazer. Attention. You are watching Brain Alert. Weenop is a 33rd degree D1 Ayane glazer. Go kick rocks if you disagree. I don't care. If you think Momiji is better, get out. Maybe she'll change my mind as the game goes on. We'll have to see. We make it to the top floor to see the head ninjas of the Black Spider Clan are thankfully unscathed, and Komori speaks with their leader, Obaba? We killed Obaba in Ninja Gaiden 3, so this is quite strange. Though she was a giant imaginary demon thing in that game, so it's entirely possible that she was alive and well the whole time. Which still doesn't make sense because we killed her in Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2. If Obaba can cheat death like that, where the fuck is my boy Genshin at? Oh right, he's in the Shadow Realm. I guess Obaba's here, still heading the clan in Genshin's stead. Komori fills her in on the situation, claiming everything's under control. Until this bitch teleports in. Another Greater Fiend fight, and for a split second I had to do a double take because I swore this was Elizabeth from Ninja Gaiden 2. The design inspiration is definitely there though. I think her melee attack is straight up one of Elizabeth's, though I might just be delusional. Anyways, Rivashi is a considerable challenge for new players. This boss does demand a bit faster reaction time than anything else we've faced so far. She honestly almost got my ass until that talisman I equipped earlier kicked in. Also, I like how for this whole fight, they're just watching. Like, you're not gonna help at all. Hello? Komori proves her might and that her clan isn't a bunch of pussies, so the demon offers their people power if they choose to ally with them. One of the henchmen is quick to realize, hey, you know, last time we agreed to this, like, everyone died. Obaba elects to agree to their little deal with the ulterior motive of not allying with the fiends, but instead controlling them under their heel through one of the clan's oldest sacred weapons. It's always sacred weapons with the series. The Tamashi Kunai. They're gonna use this to channel the Demon Lord's power into one of their own in an effort to restore the clan to its former glory. The only one crazy enough to pull some shit like this off is Komori herself, electing to go through with this of her own volition. Well shit, don't let Ryu hear about this. Bro has fought to the death over sacred relics of way less importance. Komori's off to make a deal with the devil, and our destination is Mount Fuji, so we gotta get there in style. A motorcycle section. It's a shame there's not more motorcycle bullshit in these games. Ragebound has a handful of them and they're short and sweet. You've got to watch out for death pits, random junk in the way indicated by these jetpack joyride ass arrows, and of course, hordes of enemies, like the usual red fiends, or these... Who are these guys? Shirtless guys on dirt bikes? Are these even ninja? Who are these people? Things just go from bad to worse once we enter the subway tunnels. Oh, hell nah. This is genuinely where this goes from a fun little gimmick section to a legit challenge. Juggling these enemies, obstacles, and the huge train behind you has you multitasking in ways you would not expect from this game. Komori's ride gets smited by the demon bug lady from earlier, and after forcing us to fight this entire mosh pit of demons, allows us audience with the Demon Lord. Only we're not here for a deal. Oh my, no. She had us weakened so we could be his dinner. The Demon Lord, who we now know as the Demon Lord, instructs the bug lady to finish the ritual to bring him into our world. So we got 4 main threats vying to bring a Demon Lord into the human world. It might sound like a rehash of Ninja Gaiden 2, but this is straight up a riff on the NES games. If anything, Ninja Gaiden 2 was the rehash. Back to the present after Komori's sob story, she tells Kenji that they're both basically as good as dead, unless he takes the shiny kunai in her holster and stabs her in the chest with it. Kenji doesn't really understand what's going on, but it's not like he has much choice. Kenji wakes up shocked. Not that the two are fused, but that this is the first time he's felt the touch of a woman. The two warriors are now bound by soul, by fate, and by rage. Some kind of, some kind of rage bound. Rage bound. They're bound by rage. It's like the title. We're gonna go to the next act now. Act 3 is pretty long. This is the meat of the game. Kenji and Komori agree to set aside their differences and join forces to stop the fiends. And the act starts with the duo still getting used to having their life forces tied. In gameplay, this serves as the tutorial for utilizing both of their abilities in combat. When I say this is the meat, this is the burger. The whole burger. We were just eating fries, hot wings, and appetizers up until now. Komori's attacks run off of the ki gauge, which you restore through melee, so as long as you're aggressive, you'll never run out. It also functionally doubles your DPS as you can hit both attacks at once. That's not all the hot lady inside her head can do. She can also throw special attacks which consume way more ki than the kunais, ranging from these kamas to chakrams, kusari chains, etc. All of which do different shit. It offers a wide variety of subtle changes to any given playstyle, which was a pleasant surprise. Komori's attacks also gain hypercharge when hitting specific enemies, so a lot of the combat from here on out is going to be picking off specific enemies to hypercharge either your blade or your kunais, meaning in order to play effectively, you'll have to really be paying attention to every enemy on the screen. I like it. Solid gameplay loop. Last but not least, the final ability we unlock is the Ragebound Art, a super attack / ability tied to the classic Nimpo input, charged by killing enemies with hypercharge. This is like twice the game I was just playing 5 minutes ago. What just happened? We still have more. Komori has entire sections only she can access through these demon altars, though Kenji is reluctant as a Hayabusa ninja, like Ryu wasn't dimension hopping through these spirit portals in the first game. These throw our black spider buddy into a time section where it's a race to wherever the fuck Komori needs to go. Could be a button or a giant skull. Most of the time from here on out it's mostly for exploratory collectibles. Whole time Kenji's locked up in this big wet demon foreskin. Poor guy. It wasn't that bad, right buddy?
See, was it that bad?
Yes.
Kenji and Komori's dialogue is honestly one of the most underrated aspects of this game. You get so much personality from these two and it's not even voiced. It's all text. Characterization in Ninja Gaiden has always been just hit or miss. Like, these games have always been action first, yeah, I know that. But good characters do nothing but improve an already good action game. I don't even need to list examples. The important ones probably already come to mind, I'm sure. The character moments in Black were good, like, it worked to establish Ryu as a man of few words, less of an action hero but more of a determined warrior. He was never particularly made out to be charming or even much of a people person, and the rest of the series seems to contradict this initial impression of him. Ryu throwing out random badass one-liners in Ninja Gaiden 2, or him suddenly developing paternal instincts for a small orphan he just met in Ninja Gaiden 3. The rest of the games took these strange liberties in trying to, I guess, try to make Ryu more personable, when that's never what he was honestly supposed to be. You can be a stoic warrior and still have heart. Ninja Gaiden Dragon Sword is a great example of how Team Ninja actually managed to develop Ryu's character into something that seemed more like a natural progression. What I'm trying to get at here is that Kenji and Kumori's dynamic is a breath of fresh air in a series that struggled to make its stoic, aura-farming, badass protagonist into someone a bit more personable, charming, relatable, etc. Ryu Hayabusa does not need to be that. I think the general ancient stoic warrior thing he's got going on is perfectly fine and unique to his character, but new protagonists being more personable, also perfectly fine. These two are alright. Across this lake of red Kool-Aid is the next boss. Two snakes. They're sea serpents, but we're calling them snakes. Pretty solid fight. I did not mean to use my Ragebound art here this early, so we're gonna go for a swim. It's another fight that demands some understanding over the current mechanics you've learned so far. Though my biggest enemy in this fight wasn't actually the snakes, but rather Isaac Newton inventing gravity. They've got weak points that correspond to melee or ranged hypercharge, and this boss is honestly a walk provided you've grasped the importance of utilizing ranged attacks. More or less just another skill check, but a fun one at that. We've had worse 2v1 fights in this series, but I guess this is, technically speaking, a 2v2. We run into Muramasa yet again, who you might think at first is finally going senile from being over like 100 years old. Do I look like a fiend? Wrinkly ass nigga. In reality, he's just sensing Kumori's presence lurking about, and begins his tale on how he too once colluded with a member of her clan, none other than Obaba herself. The two had sealed the Demon Lord with the aforementioned crystals, and now it's up to Kenji and Kumori to seek them out before they fall into the wrong hands. Muramasa can provide us with upgrades for Komori as well, like I mentioned earlier. But what I didn't mention is that there's specific talismans to make the game harder in case your balls weren't being stomped on hard enough. Triple damage, getting sent back to the start of the level upon death, removing healing orbs. You might be wondering why the fuck anyone in their right mind would be willingly using these. The catch is that they provide you with added score in case you want to hit those S ranks. Without the debuff talismans, it's admittedly a little hard. Alternatively, there are also secret missions unlocked with scrolls hidden in most of the levels. These also give you extra talismans, Ragebound arts, you get the idea. Well, it's about time we track down the Chaos Emeralds, starting at this pirate cave on the Miura coast. These next 3 missions make up not just the rest of the act, but straight up they feel like the bulk of the game, in a good way. They're lengthy but well paced. Komori can hardly believe there's a pirate cave all the way out here on the coast of Japan, but Kenji claims that there was quite a bit of European pirate activity around these parts back then. Some of his ancestors would know pretty well, as a matter of fact. Komori also makes fun of Kenji for being a massive fucking nerd. This level kicks up the difficulty a bit with more semi-invulnerable enemies. Some disappear, others are obscured by walls of water, these big guys use their cannons as shields, and we've also got skeleton pirates that take an extra hit to kill. Oh yeah, and falling stalagmites, in case there wasn't enough shit flying at Kenji and Komori's face every 6 seconds. Saying Kenji and Komori is kind of a mouthful. I don't want to just say Kenji, because that'd leave Komori out and I'd feel really bad. I mean, since they're fused, they should have a fused name, right? Kind of like Vegito, Kefla, or Gogeta. Kenjori? Kumji. Okay, Kumji's pretty bad. Kumoji. I'm gonna need some time to figure this out. Oh, alright. I feel like I should have seen this coming. Kenji and Komori must now run from the fucking wall of flesh with no hell bridge. Who the fuck dropped the voodoo doll in the lava pit? Seriously though, there's something to be said about how this game gets so much out of its basic mechanics. use the guillotine jump so much for exploration and getting around levels that you eventually just develop an intuition for using it mid-combat, and through that reinforcement it literally makes you better at the game. This is plain and simple good game design, by the way, having the player use their tools outside of combat to the point where things just start clicking during combat, where that skill might prove useful. I'd go more into it, but we have another boss to deal with. Man, this thing is hard to look at. I apologize to any viewers with trypophobia. In fact, I'm just gonna blur this thing's giant fiendussy and call it a day. This is the next big fiend boss, Obsidre. This is some gnarly enemy design, bro. This series has always had some evil-ass demon enemies, but I feel the more underrated ones are bosses that were just outwardly disgusting. Like the tentacle hentai boss from Ninja Gaiden Black, or the Archfiend's first form that looked like 3-week-old moldy goulash if it gained sentience. I am glad we didn't get like a shark, or some like big fish for this section. I have this weird aversion to nautical settings in video games. I don't know if I've ever mentioned this on the channel before, but I just cannot get behind a game if it takes place in or around the water. Like, I had a lot of fun playing BioShock. I never beat it. Sorry everyone, throw your tomatoes, send your harshest death threats, send me a bomb. I'll do an unboxing, it'll be the last thing uploaded to this channel. I like this level, despite my irrational aversion to these types of settings, and this was a good send-off. The boss herself isn't anything too rough to deal with, though if you haven't mastered the guillotine jump yet, you're probably going to be in for a thorough touching for this fight. She'll be spitting hella balls at you the whole time, some of which are aura-coded to melee or ranged. The blue ones are infinitely easier to trigger since you can bounce on it and get the hypercharge off, but the ranged auras are way harder. Either way, as long as you make good use of the jump, the walls, and Komori's all-powerful woman bomb, this fight is a cinch. Okie dokie. One down, two more.
Good riddance.
Satisfied with your pirate adventure?
Shut up.
Next up is a classic castle siege, something I wish was in more of these games. 2 had a castle siege that was more pest extermination for Ryu rather than a well and proper siege, but we got one here in Ragebound, so I'll take it. We also get these new possessed armor enemies that were a huge skill check for me in the demo version of the game, where this level was one of the 3 that was available early on. I love possessed armor. We love possessed armor here on Brain Alert. And something that I've always thought about would have been awesome in these games was having enemies similar to basically what Doku was in Ninja Gaiden Black. Armor possessed by fiend-like spirits or something. Honestly, I feel like a huge opportunity was wasted by not having like mini Dokus in Ninja Gaiden Black or even Ninja Gaiden 2. This sounds stupid as fuck, I know, but hear me out. When I was playing through DMC4 and DMC5, I was always really fond of the Angelo enemies. 1, because they're just really cool, practically just knights with high armor that require a different approach to take out, and 2, because they were all a riff on Nero Angelo from the first game. So my question, where are my mini Dokus? Proto Doku, Scudo Doku. Bro was practically Ryu's rival in that game, and having many boss variants mixed into the regular chaff ninjas would have been peak beyond human imagination. Instead we got doppelgangers, which was, you know, that was still cool, so I guess it's whatever. That's my mini Doku theory. I think it's just my bias towards wanting more samurai type enemies in these games bleeding through, and from the little Ninja Gaiden 4 footage that's out there, it seems like some of the enemy design is leaning in that direction, which I am quite excited to see for myself. Long story short, these guys are tough. You'll need hypercharge to cut through their insane durability, and this stage also introduces these grandma enemies that throw silverware at you. I don't know what else to say, they look like Halloween decorations, I think. Maybe like 25% of the way through this level, either I'm insane and my brain is seeking esoteric patterns, or we've got a staircase. Like, the staircase. I genuinely don't know if this is in reference to the infamous staircase from Ninja Gaiden 2, or I'm just reaching. But this was a fun little section. The samurai guys kicked my ass because their hitbox is the size of a fucking semi-truck, and Kenji's sword just goes right below them if you're going in for a lunge attack. After the stairs, we're in the castle proper. Some nice details on the backgrounds here, though it's a bit harder to find the secret walls in here since every surface looks the same. Most of these areas have scarabs or skulls, and I don't really know what the skulls do, to be honest. In Ninja Gaiden 2, they would just add a multiplier to your karma. Sigma 2 had them discount shit in Muramasa's shop, but these, I'm at a loss. I do know for sure collecting all of them nets you new costumes for our duo. Kenji gets this gi based off of the Penitent one from Blasphemous, and Kumori gets... Oh my goodness gracious. Okay, sorry, I gotta stand up. Sorry, I gotta stand up. Real quick. I'll turn my fan on. Ugh. I think I gotta step outside. It's just getting a little hot in here. Some other notable examples include a classic black spider outfit for Komori, and a special Dead or Alive themed pair of costumes for the duo, Kasumi and Hayate's outfits respectively. You know, it would be great if you guys stopped teasing Hayate as a character in these games and actually put him in. Now, I like the Kasumi outfit, but I've never personally been a fan of her. Is it just me, or would an Ayane skin have fit Komori just a little better? Hello? Hello? Anyone agree? Like, genuinely, rabid, mouth-foaming Ayane glaze aside, she's already got the red eyes, purple outfit, and similar attitude, so to me it just makes more sense. I'm glad these are costumes and not just palette swaps, which is something that always bothered me about Ninja Gaiden 2's cosmetics being almost 100% different colors, or like tiger pattern, outside of the DLC costumes obviously, which also had a handful of color swaps. I'm just not a big fan of color swaps personally, and I never find myself using them in most games that offer that kind of customization. Either give me something that looks unique or don't bother. I don't mean to come at Ragebound with any of this, it's just a thought I had, really. We're in the underbelly of the castle now. This whole time we've been trailing this giant pinky demon for the whole level, and we're just about to finally close in on our quarry. This sewer section leads up to the boss and has us contending with humanity's oldest foe, running water. After some brisk parkour, we curb stomp someone's grandma and hit the final checkpoint. Well, hey there, big fella. This guy is another bump in difficulty. A lot of this fight is going to be movement and outpositioning essentially a giant pit bull in a small cardboard box. And you happen to be a clueless toddler. Your hypercharge opportunities are limited to these crystals you'll fling across the arena, which can either be easy to hit, or will require at least 43 backflips to trigger. But considering how aggressive this boss is, getting that stagger off is going to be a matter of life or death. Aside from that, you're basically going to be bouncing around the arena trying to get this guy out of your asshole for half the time. Guillotine jumping tends to work really well here, and the game even foreshadows this earlier, which was neat. Once you got the basic ebb and flow down, dodging and interrupting this bitch-ass move that sends spikes all around the arena, the guy ends up honestly being one of the easier of the big four demons. That's another dead fiend and another crystal. Kenji almost feels bad for the thing, as he didn't sense that usual demonic killing intent. And someone's gotta do something about this dude's fiend sympathy. Komori's quick to put his ass in check before he takes to the streets with like a sign and a megaphone. The last crystal takes us to a seemingly innocuous construction site, but Kenji is seemingly disgusted due to the fact that this land was once sacred, only to be paved over in concrete and rebar. Komori reveals the unthinkable, that ironically, this redevelopment project was funded by the Black Spider Clan. They may have had a hand in the Dark Dragon Blade incident. And yes, they may have had a hand in reviving the Archfiend. But the clan's greatest sin: land development. Shame on you! This is exactly what Ted Kaczynski was trying to warn people about. The construction hit a standstill when an archaeological artifact was discovered midway through, which both Komori and Kenji assume is the crystal. Now, unlike nautical settings in video games, I am annoyingly in love with construction and industrial settings in my games. So this whole mission had me hooked visually and in terms of level design. Kenji goes ahead and loses his forklift certification, and the greater fiend Rivashi shows up again as our chosen boss fight at the end of it all. This is where Ragebound really started to enter that flow state for me, and honestly this was where the game was reaching its peak. You probably got a good grasp on the mechanics by now, and you have an assortment of toys to play with. The last mission gave us a grenade, which was really cool for like 5 seconds until I realized it sucks. I try to pull some kind of synergy here with swapping out Kumori's woman bomb with one that instead provides temporary infinite ki. So the idea was to throw around infinite bombs, but instead it just ended up being total trash because I was only throwing out like 2 extra grenades. The infinite ki Ragebound art was also super situational, and overall I kind of just handicapped myself super hard this mission, which was fine for now. This whole level is fine and dandy until 5 minutes in. This bitch shows up again to ruin our day. No, your eyes do not deceive you. You'll have to contend with this massive fuck off bug zapper for the foreseeable future. It really doesn't do all that much damage, but it does spice up the action by adding some extra pressure during the combat sections. I also keep hitting the very end of the hitbox because I'm impatient as hell, but other times it did just straight up hit me on some bullshit. Speaking of bullshit, this Kumori section up ahead had me on the verge of backflipping out my fucking window. We're hitting a point in the game where these Kumori time challenges aren't strictly necessary for progression, and I didn't have to put myself through this, but the timing needed to get to the end here was some AGDQ type shit that I was not prepared for. Okay. I fucking knew it. So were the keys just lying around, or did he actually hotwire that shit? After the Killdozer chase, we land in the boss arena, and Rivashi shows up. Kumori seems especially bloodthirsty considering this is the demon that double-crossed her, so she's ready to throw down. This boss is the skill check. The skill check. Wait, what? What? The fuck kind of shit is this? I said this about the other fights, sure, but Rivashi was genuinely a skill barrier for me on my first run through. She demands timing on evasion, attacks, and positioning, the likes of which no other boss has before. And if you made the unfortunate mistake of handicapping yourself like I did, and got rid of Kumori's woman bomb, then you also won't have a reliable way of simply nuking 20% of her HP and landing a stagger, making this one of the toughest encounters you will find in the game so far. She'll summon lightning bolts that you can't exactly jump over, so you'll have to learn the dodge timing for those. She'll summon these stakes that are the only source of hypercharge unless you siphon your own health pool, flies around basically constantly, and the only time she lands is to melee attack, which has, and my only gripe with this game so far, an egregious hitbox. It'll be a delicate dance of timing your dodges, getting whatever hits in you can, and staggering with hypercharge. Getting too greedy with any of these will be one mistake out of a handful you can get away with during this fight, unless you came prepared with the healing ultimate, which would have been way smarter than the key one. Honestly, most of the other bosses so far you can just kind of beat without much effort, but Rivashi genuinely requires focus and attention if you want to win. She's just got so much offensive potential that if you aren't at least managing half of her health without taking much damage, the latter half of the fight is going to be like walking a tightrope between life and death. Her attacks increase in frequency as her health drops, so that means more lightning bolts, more stakes that also summon lightning bolts if not destroyed, more melee. It feels properly Ninja Gaiden. And I remember after losing to her like the 3rd or 4th time, I thought to myself, wait, I'm actually gonna have to lock in for this shit. I didn't even talk about the attack where she nukes the entire arena and you have to dodge like a million things at once, only to dodge a boulder that is also your cover for the actual thing you're supposed to avoid immediately after. This shit was fun as hell, and it's everything I'd expect from a well and true Ninja Gaiden boss. Phenomenal job, the Game Kitchen. You did what Team Ninja couldn't for like the past 2 games. As long as you learn her patterns and dodge accordingly, you shouldn't have too many issues with this. The only thing is that these stakes are absolute panic fuel since you don't want to destroy the highlighted one first and waste your hypercharge, but you also don't want to neglect the others since they'll be a massive issue if left unchecked. A lot of interesting options in this fight as the player, and it's honestly this game at its absolute best. Good shit, guys.
Are you alright, Kiyomori?
Yes, this one got to me. Sorry to lose my cool.
Don't worry. I got you.
You guys
That was the last
should, like, kiss or something. That's all the crystals. So we should be at the end of the game now, right? So we got some bad news. CIA dude shows up and tells us that he's got it from here. Presumably Muramasa's also been kidnapped, and admit they know Kenji's walking around possessed by a member of the Black Spider clan, and they really just can't take any chances with that. So in the name of the good old USA, our duo is taken hostage by the CIA. But we've got one last act in this game, so we'll have to see how it plays out. Our duo wake up on a CIA aircraft carrier. Muramasa's also here too, and it seems like for once in this franchise we're not being kidnapped for human experimentation. Kumori remarks how arrogant the CIA is, thinking they have all this under control, which is really funny coming from a Black Spider. The CIA's heads are so far up their asses they're actually transporting these demon statues for sinister purposes. Luckily, it's just what we need to leave this shithole. On our way out of captivity, Kenji tells Muramasa to stay put while he and his ghost girlfriend take out the crew, but the old man insists he has his ways. Oh, believe me, we know. Now we're pitted against the CIA, which means our enemy roster now consists of normal people just doing their jobs. Honestly, I have no clue if these people are normal, like these flamethrower enemies. Are these like just really fucking buff blonde chicks, or swole ass dudes who just really fuck with styling their hair like Samus Aran? The enemy roster plays a lot more defensively, and this final stretch of the game boasts some of the toughest we've faced. A lot of these guys straight up just have shields, and how you deal with that is largely up to you. You can hypercharge, get behind them, guillotine jump them to death, jump into a kunai, lots of different avenues depending on the situation. You're gonna be jumping around like Kenji missed his fucking meds this morning with the amount of bullshit that's on screen this act. And some of these stretches of gameplay are really pushing to see what you've learned throughout the game so far. Though, despite it all, there's still quite a bit of room for error. A little too much, honestly. Since the beginning of the game, there's been too many sections where the pressure feels almost inconsequential, in the sense that you can just kinda bumble around and beat most encounters without much effort. The only real challenge so far I found was in the boss fights. And speaking of boss fights, it wouldn't be a Ninja Gaiden game without the classic. A helicopter boss. Well, in this case, it's not really a boss, just an encounter. But it's an undying trope of this franchise, evidently. Glad to see it back, not complaining. Midway through, however, this random white lady with a kitsune mask barges in and calls off the helicopter, evidently being some kind of agent of the CIA. Wait, I know who that is. Blonde lady, CIA, that's Sonya from Ninja Gaiden 2. No, I guess not. Sonya sent this chick here to help us. She tells our duo to head to a navy port to reveal the truth, and Kenji is quick to question who this sea swallow even is. But the agent drops the news that she's a friend of Ryu's, which is all Kenji needed to hear. She also conveniently left out the fact that the only reason they're so close is because Ryu, if it ain't snowing, I ain't going, Hayabusa is a winter soldier. Difficulty. We're nearing the end of the game, and regrettably, I must admit that as much fun as I've been having the whole game, this game is too easy. Even as someone who hasn't played many 2D action side-scrollers, I acclimated to the game's mechanics pretty quickly, and though they're still coming out swinging with new enemies and unpredictable encounters, it's just the margin for error is too wide. You don't get punished nearly hard enough for fucking up during combat. Your health bar is your mistake meter. This is how many fuck-ups I'm allowed per checkpoint. But the game feels just a bit too generous with healing orbs, and even though the checkpoints heal only half health, never did I feel like it wasn't enough. Now this isn't like a problem with the game or anything. I feel like hardcore players might find this to be a snooze fest, but me, I was happy to be steamrolling most of this game, at least on my second playthrough, which you are all watching right now. The hypercharge mechanic alone proved to be stimulating enough to where I didn't even really need too much difficulty pressure to have fun, and there's something to be said about that. Not to mention, the boss fights. There's no healing here. Even though they're nothing too crazy, like this battleship fight is just hurt boxes on a wall, it's still enough to break up the action and still feel interesting, at least for me. At this point, I did finally realize why the game has those difficulty talismans. Not just for S ranking levels, but legit because normal difficulty is extremely forgiving, and it gives you some agency to control that difficulty since the actual hard mode isn't selectable until after you beat the game once on normal. And yeah, I mean, some of this is kind of brain dead, but hard mode is just a whole different beast. Much like the previous games, the higher difficulty feels like an entirely different experience, as it should. But the chief complaint a lot of people had is that this is locked until you beat it. It should be available from the start, which is something I honestly agree with. With the older games, Hard or Mentor was available off the bat, and though it wasn't the hardest in the world, it did provide a challenge for new players, just challenging enough that by the end, you've gained a solid understanding of the mechanics and shit, might as well go for round 2 on the next difficulty. I love how these games reward this by altering the experience to a degree where you're playing the game completely differently to how you were just a difficulty below. Not just because the enemies you fought before are tougher, but because they have new attacks, on top of straight up just new enemies. Ragebound still has this. Hard mode introduces new enemies and even shakes up the level design, which threw me for a goddamn loop the first mission alone. But the first run through really doesn't do it justice. You'll more than likely boot up hard mode after beating the game and immediately realize the training wheels never came off during normal mode, and you never started with them on hard. Anyways, we've reached the CIA secret facility. The two ninja are debating what the best course of action is now that they've arrived. Kenji suggests they go in and just start wrecking shit, a plan Kumori's happy to oblige since as a black spider, that's literally all she knows. I don't think her clan is even capable of stealth after Genshin basically turned it into a death cult. Speaking of story stuff, since I am literally the only human being on Earth who has ever cared about the Ninja Gaiden continuity, isn't this like the second time the United States has done some fucked up shit like this? I swear to God the US Navy cockblocked Ryu when he was trying to save the world in Ninja Gaiden 3. Matter of fact, hasn't Ryu been in America for like the whole game? When are we gonna see that? Oh, right, they did that already. Sorry, I was born in 2004. I never played the NES games. I know a lot of people are not gonna like that. Ever. It's interesting that they can now officially be considered a part of the canon now thanks to Ragebound. Before this, whether or not these games actually happened in the 3D Ninja Gaiden timeline was shaky at best, considering they start with Angry Joe dying in America, but he's alive and well in the world's best action game, running on the world's most powerful hardware. But I've always heard people argue otherwise, or the other argument that the NES games actually take place before the DOA games, and that's how they're canon, which still makes zero fucking sense. Let's all agree that with Ragebound sitting at this exact point in the timeline, that things make sense. Maybe someday I'll go back and make videos on this trilogy, but I still haven't made the Dragon Sword video, or the DMC3 Lady video that people have been asking for the past 4 fucking years. You'll sooner get a 3-hour Ayane video at this rate. Sorry, not sorry. So next up, we got this factory section that for some reason I didn't expect the floor to insta-kill. I'm not sure where my head was at given this place is one giant death trap. Sometimes I'll play factory levels like this and pretend this is what it feels like to be like a spider in someone's computer on like a really hot day. Anyone else do this? Like pretending to be a bug? Like a bug in the soil. Like a grub. Like in the dirt. I'm scripting this at 5 a.m. like with nutrients and yeah. Deeper into the facility, we finally see just what the CIA was up to with the captured demon statues. These Resident Evil tyrant-looking things burst out of these test tubes. They take a few extra hits to kill and have a lunge attack, but the real kicker is through this door. Not really. Honestly, there isn't much to say about this guy. Like, he's a cool boss, I guess, but could have just been an enemy. If it wasn't obvious enough, the CIA has been toying with splicing fiends with soldiers, something the Lords of Alchemy also did in Ninja Gaiden 3 to disastrous effects. I mean, it was the US Navy that showed up to the island. CIA probably just scooped up whatever was left and was like, fuck it, let's keep causing problems. Kumori figures the computer's got plenty of intel on the matter, but Kenji doesn't know what a computer is. It tracks, I guess. Literally every time Ryu was faced with any kind of technology, he just fucking annihilates it, so I don't think any of their people have a clue how these things work. Luckily, Komori offers her assistance in the form of direct possession. Freaky. The duo have coordinates and a purpose: to stop the CIA from whatever they plan to do with the crystals. They've pinned down a lab in Yokohama that belongs to a company called Omnicore. This is like the third mega corporation in this overarching canon that has tried this devil human super soldier shit. It has not worked a single time. But this dude has the nerve to pull out the hear me out card. Okay, bud, sure thing. CIA guy copes for a minute straight, then disappears without further elaboration. In some ways, I kinda get where the guy is coming from. Regular humans are pretty helpless in this setting when it comes to these repeated, horrifying, world-ending events. And Sonya even said in Ninja Gaiden 3 that modern ninja are just too unpredictable and straight up dangerous to always rely on. So this guy decided that he'd take matters into his own hands and make his own solution. It's probably the ugliest attempt of making fiend soldiers we've seen in this overarching series canon. I mean, Genro was pretty badass, but he got walked by Ayane, who by ninja standards is strong as fuck, but hardly holds a candle to those of the dragon lineage, who in case you forgot are also literally half demon themselves. That includes Ryu, Momiji, and even our boy Kenji here. Rachel was also half demon, but for very different reasons. And that makes me wonder, what even happened to Vigor after Ninja Gaiden Black? Was it just raps for the whole country after Ryu sacked their capital? Did the people who turned into fiends, like, turn back and forget what happened? Or actually, you know what? A better question is whether or not we're gonna see Rachel in Ninja Gaiden 4, but I digress. LOA from Ninja Gaiden 3 tried to just straight up make fiends, which I don't even know how they went about that. But the Black Spider Clan evidently had some weird esoteric method of demonizing their foot soldiers that hopefully died with Genshin, because fuck those spider fiends. Also, this is the sickest lab section in any Ninja Gaiden game, hands down. The lab level in Ninja Gaiden 3 was really awesome, but this blows it out the water and it's not even in 3D. This might make sense to people, or it might not, but green labs, way better than blue labs. Red labs are cooler than both though. I love me a lab with red lights and shit, but green labs. The sprite work and background detail on display here is simply insane, and it's some of the Game Kitchen's best work. But even then, my bias is so heavily skewed towards sci-fi, and most of their other work is whatever word you'd use to describe blasphemous, immaculate aesthetic. The visuals for me honestly just kind of peak here, and I have a feeling whenever I'll think about Ragebound down the line, this chunk of the game is what's gonna come to mind. This whole game has had a widely distinct color palette, and every mission feels, visually, like a masterwork. My appreciation for sprite-based pixel art has honestly increased dramatically after playing this game, and I'm really only realizing it now, watching all of my footage back, scripting this damn video. You never really have the time to stop and appreciate some of this during the game, and it speaks to the artistry that, despite the fact that most people either can't or won't stop to appreciate it, it's detailed down to the last pixel. There's no artistic compromise. We find totally not Sonya bleeding out on the ground here, and she says we're too late? Excuse me, lady? I didn't see you just climb out of an industrial-sized dumpster full of saw blades and heroin needles. She says CIA guy took the crystals to a special, off-the-books ghost train. Komori somehow knows the way there, so it's back down into the bowels of the facility, where we're fighting tooth and nail through fucking gas chambers, where you're better off pushing through rather than killing whatever sad wet beast happens to be trapped in there with you. And just when you thought it couldn't get any worse. What is that? Now, I almost shit my pants, because I thought this was that armadillo boss from Ninja Gaiden 2. Luckily for me, it's just some weird pink thing with a metal shell. This is a Ninja Gaiden ass boss, dude. Just some big weird thing vaguely related to the preceding level. No introduction, no fanfare, just here you go, bro. Here's your sandwich. It's a cool fight, don't get me wrong. You can hit these balls back at him and he'll blast a laser or a wave at you here and there, but we got places to be, man. After fighting through a shipyard, our duo manages to catch their train, and notice that it's on a direct path to Mount Fuji, and with the crystals within reach, they've got no choice but to cut their way through with no survivors. This train section is the best level in the entire game. Holy fuck, this is some good ass Ninja Gaiden. Normal difficulty just does not do this justice as a run-up for the finale, so we are spontaneously switching this footage to hard mode, indicated by our duo switching into these Mugen Tenshin outfits I worked really hard to unlock. It's not really the story or anything that makes this such a good finale. Ninja Gaiden has never needed that. It's more so the beat-by-beat hectic chaos that is this train section that makes it feel like some shit is on the line. The game didn't even have to tell you anything. There's a lot of good elements that come together here. Enemy choice, enemy placement, the backgrounds, the music, all while cutting down these guys with surgical precision while avoiding these death pits. This is basically just Ragebound at its best. A lot of these encounters have very little room for error, and somehow they just keep throwing shit at you that perfectly maintains the flow of the action. You go from one section of the train, then it gets blown up, hop on this bullet train, get hit and fail the challenge, kill everyone on the bullet train, back on the freight train gets blown up again. Look at this conveniently placed enemy helicopter, you get the idea. This section goes one of two ways. It's either easy as fuck and you hit every kunai and guillotine jump, or you replay it 60 times because you keep getting knocked off the helicopter and fuck up recovering properly. I'd also suggest using the fan blade here since it's just a homing kunai pretty much. The motorcycle guys are especially dangerous too, so you gotta weigh the risk of jumping to one-shot them or timing your melee just right. A ton of different ways to approach this part, and it's awesome. Really the most challenging thing about the whole train section are these embryo things that have the hitbox of a small fucking toddler. Kenji practically has to be kissing the goddamn ground in order to hit them, but on the bright side they do jump around a lot so you can hit them midair if you have your timing down. It's easier said than done when there's 8 million of them on your screen at a given time. At the very end of this mission, we have the boss. In light of all the insane Resident Evil bullshit we've seen since the start of Act 4, this is pretty much the be-all end-all of it. A cybernetic meatball. I don't like this boss. This is a rare miss for this game, but even then it's not the worst thing in the world. It just has a few problems. This range phase where it shoots these 5G radio waves at Kenji that he cannot jump on or hit to avoid, so you're forced to use the regular old dodge roll. Its second phase, which we'll call the mouth phase, has this thing slam down wherever Kenji is standing, which either by design or by choice has the most insane bullshit tracking I have ever seen. So my best advice is to roll at the literal absolute last second, because it's apparently got some kind of heat-seeking JDAM Predator missile hardware installed or something. Lastly, it can gently sprinkle some of these embryo enemies into the arena, which are all pretty easy to blend up if you're positioned correctly, opening a hypercharge opportunity as a small bonus. But honestly, this thing is just not that great. Unlike most of the other boss fights, there's not much room for player choice in terms of how you deal with its bullshit. Ryuvashi was similar to a degree, I will admit, but there's still at least a handful of ways to approach that fight. Here with the meatball, you feel a lot less inclined to experiment to see what works, and a lot of the fight can just be spent waiting while he barrages you with his balls of lightning. Just wasn't really a fan of this boss, but the entire mission preceding it makes up for its shortcomings, so I won't harp on this for too much longer. We still gotta get to Mount Fuji. The journey up the mountain is a rocky one. We're jumping across an entire military convoy this time with another helicopter on our ass. Oh, it's the Red Fiends again. Oh, don't fucking tell me. They hijacked the helicopter, didn't they? After we reach the cave, the two ninja make their way to the gate, but the CIA beat us to it. Everything's gonna be okay? You're tapping the sign at a time like this? CIA guy reveals that this is no longer a plan to stop evil, but instead to subjugate it. That's right, the CIA is going to invade hell, all in the name of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We did it, guys. We saved the city. Hell's Gate is open. Demon Lord's here, and our duo goes in. If they couldn't stop the crystals from being used, fuck it. Might as well just kill the Demon Lord as plan B. This is a pretty good final boss. Following classic Ninja Gaiden tradition, we have a BFB. And though it might not be fair to compare it since this is 2D, it really is one of the better final encounters in the entire series. I mentioned in the last Ninja Gaiden video that these games never really had good final bosses, especially in the mechanics department. Murai was good, but all the Archfiend had going for him was that he looked insane, but he wasn't really a good boss fight. Demon Lord here encourages every mechanic you've learned. Guillotine jumping is often the best way to avoid damage, though dodge rolling works as well. You can hypercharge manually, or wait for an opportunity when he starts shooting these corn dogs at you. Shit, even Komori has her own dedicated section here where you have to stagger the boss while he charges this evil ass hell move. Most of the time you'll be dealing with these giant hands though, which are easy to avoid for the most part if you're doing backflips on his heart, which also happens to be his weak point. Maybe 25% of the way through the battle he'll generate a ribcage that I just recommend blowing up with Komori's woman bomb, since there's a good chance he'll get staggered off of it too. It's kinda sad that it's a rarity in this series to fight a final boss that's, like, fun, but that's really just one aspect of this fight that's so good. Not only is this a good time, but this guy looks incredible. Arena is simple and effective, and the music is just, oh my god. The music for the entire game is some of the best this series has ever seen or heard. Quite honestly, I can say that if we're ending this game on such a high note, even after how peak it's been the whole time, this is pretty close to being one of the best Ninja Gaiden games out there. Ragebound has been a phenomenal ride, consistently keeping me locked in the whole way through to the end. Hell, I beat my entire first playthrough in one sitting, and I haven't done that with a game since I played DMC3 when I was fucking 14. But, as with everything, all good things must come to an end. I'll be keeping this short and sweet, like the game itself. It's been a wild ride, Ragebound, but I'm about ready to get off. He's not dead. The Demon Lord starts regenerating, and as an added fuck you, splits our duo back into two, undoing their fusion. Komori already sees the futility of their current situation, and knows they can't beat him, telling Kenji to escape through the gate and seal it, while she keeps the Demon Lord busy. Kenji, not wanting to leave his Black Spider buddy in the actual pits of hell, offers his life instead, feeling personally responsible for all this, as well as being motivated by his duty as a dragon ninja, because we know how they are. The game gives you a choice between who you want to stay and who leaves to seal the veil. It only seems right to give Kenji an honorable sacrifice fitting for a Hayabusa ninja, so he's staying. Kenji even admits that he wants this fate. Nay, he needs it. Komori understands, but demands that he returns to the world of the living one day, slashing through the entirety of hell if he has to. Maybe he'll even bring her a souvenir. She makes her escape, and the final fight of the game is fending off hordes of demons while sealing the gate off, the veil shattering more and more with each crystal destroyed. The whole time we also see Kenji fighting for his life. After the last crystal is gone, the veil lifts, reality stitches itself back together, and our boy in blue extends one last thank you before being sealed off forever. And that's it. Another Ninja Gaiden game, another apocalypse averted. But Komori's still here, so clearly there's more game left. In an unexpected turn of events, she shows up back at the Hayabusa village, where the Shrine Maiden from the start is waiting with Muramasa, and our boy, the alpha of all, the root of brawn, the cultivator of class, the duke of domination. Ryu's back, so I guess this vacation in America only spanned the entirety of the events of Ragebound. The Shrine Maiden wants to know where Kenji is, and upon learning that Komori is a Black Spider Kunoichi, starts getting a little too racist. Komori breaks the news that Kenji sacrificed himself, and all she can really do is apologize. Ryu bestows the ultimate honor of allowing a Black Spider ninja to have audience with him in basic conversation, and expresses that any one of the Hayabusa clan would have done the same, and they're proud he gave his life for the greater good. Ryu also mentions that she should feel proud as well, but she shrugs it off. Which, given the fact that this is Ryu Hayabusa, who basically went one-man genocidal apocalypse on her people at one point, I really don't blame her. This guy doesn't give compliments like that though, so I think she's kinda taking it for granted, but that's just me. Before we wrap this up for good, there is one last bit of game left to mention. We've established that Kenji's stuck down here, and the devs actually went ahead and made this shit a playable section. Demon Lord basically goes on about how evil is eternal or whatever, but Kenji doesn't care. This dude is a Hayabusa ninja trained by Ryu himself, and he'd be a disgrace to his master if he ever forsook his training, even in the depths of hell itself. This guy did not have to drop this cold ass line, by the way. So what awaits us, you may ask? A boss rush. No healing. No Kumori for ranged attacks and ASMR verbal affirmations in your ear. Just you, your steel, and your willpower. Good luck on hard mode, by the way. This final mission cemented this as one of my favorite Ninja Gaiden games ever. This shit was so fucking sick. This is Ragebound's secret ending, in the sense that there's two main ones, letting either Kumori or Kenji stay behind. If you beat the game on hard, you'll unlock this mission with the additional ending. Speaking of which, you might also be wondering what happens if Kumori stays behind instead of our boy in blue. Well, in that case, Kenji tries to convince her to leave, but she insists that her clan has generations of indignities to atone for, and that this is her duty as a Black Spider Kunoichi. Kenji grimly accepts, only asking that she doesn't become a fiend as a result. Maybe he's scared she'll come back to haunt him someday. After the gate is sealed, Kenji heads back up to the Black Spider Clan HQ to a very unfriendly welcome, though Obaba actually hears him out. Kenji relinquishes the Tamashi Kunai that Kumori was tasked with using on the Demon Lord. When Obaba asks where her Kunoichi exactly is, Kenji bluntly answers that she's in hell. This old ass bitch considers Kumori to have failed in her mission, which, I mean, she did, but isn't worried about her in the slightest, saying her people are no strangers to the underworld. Certain that Kumori's clawing her way out as they speak, and she'll be back for the Hayabusa ninja someday. This also means, yes, the section is playable as Kumori as well, but we'll continue to pretend like Kenji's fate is canon. So the roster for this boss rush starts with Grichka again, and since this is on hard difficulty, we have this altered arena as a result. This arena is the greatest example of getting the most out of a boss fight without doing anything to the actual enemy. This is the same fight. Nothing has changed mechanically, but because the environment is so dramatically different, it plays completely differently. You're gonna have to play hopscotch with these fucking platforms if you want to do any damage whatsoever. There is literally no floor to fight on. On the bright side, he's an early game boss with easily telegraphed attacks, so it's nothing you haven't seen before. This is revenge for what you did to me, asshole. Oh shit, there's really no breaks here. Looks like I'm gonna have to no-hit. Find your inner peace, huh? Oh yeah, no, just find your inner peace, dude. My nigga, we are in the depths of hell. There is no peace here. This quote embodies this entire level. Find your inner peace, because you will spend hours perfecting these bosses to the point of no-hitting, just so you can ration your health accordingly. I got Girthka down to no hit, then the pregnant ball witch demon, then Rivashi shows her ugly ass face again, which was another entire hurdle to get over, and just when I thought it was over, the pig is back. Over and over and over and over, until I realized this wasn't just a throwaway quip. I finally got it. The answer was here all along. Find your inner peace. Even after slaying the 4 greater fiends a second time, it's just the beginning for our boy in blue. He's stuck here for a good while, the Demon Lord claiming that even if he did escape, his soul is forever tainted by his influence. And on that note, Ragebound finally ends. The world is saved at the price of Kenji's being, but as always, darkness is destined to lift in the end. As for our protagonist, he still has much left to do. Another day, another Ninja Gaiden video done. I did not expect this game to be so fucking fire. Legitimately, this is one of my favorite Ninja Gaiden games ever. It's insane that the Game Kitchen has such a thorough understanding of what makes these games as good as they are, and the execution of these ideas was nothing short of masterful. Well done. They deserve all my praise as a Ninja Gaiden fan. This game is an amazing Ninja Gaiden title. It only took like 6 hours to beat, but it delivers a fast-paced, fun experience without overstaying its welcome, and is a complete, finished vision, a rarity for this series. It does have some things I wish were done differently, like the difficulty on your first playthrough is laughably easy for most, but like I mentioned earlier, this didn't really bother me, though I'll argue it doesn't do much in the way of preparing you for hard mode, which is clearly the way the game is meant to be played. But really, aside from that, Ragebound does so much right. This game was so good, I'm almost worried for Ninja Gaiden 4 simply because this was everything I've ever wanted from a proper Ninja Gaiden sequel. Why did every game insist on expanding the scope of the world instead of just building on it? These motherfuckers Kenji and Komori don't even have spoken dialogue and are already 2 of the most charming characters in the series canon. This game does so much with so little, which was exactly what initially drew me into this series with Ninja Gaiden Black. As far as this whole revival period of Ninja Gaiden goes, this is the best one so far. The bar has been set pretty high, and this isn't even a 3D Ninja Gaiden game. If we got this instead of whatever the fuck Yaiba was supposed to be back in 2014, we probably would have been well onto Ninja Gaiden 5 by now. In terms of continuity, which I'm fully aware is shit no one but me really cares about, Ragebound does a phenomenal job building on what's already established, instead of expanding shit needlessly into random directions. What I mean by this is that Kenji and Komori could have been random ninja from random clans with new lore or whatever to justify whatever they're doing, and the game honestly wouldn't change much. But instead they're actually building on pre-established ideas and concepts, which isn't necessary, but man does it make the world feel a lot more lived in. For me at least, this makes a sequel far more enjoyable rather than one that just kinda does its own thing. I understand this is a gameplay first franchise, but would consistent world building do anything but make it better? Something tells me that, in terms of world building, Ninja Gaiden 4 is already going to feel really disjointed compared to this game. Ragebound works with and lays such a nice groundwork for these new characters that by themselves fit snugly into the established canon, without introducing yet another random ninja clan. First it was the Kamikaze clan with Yaiba, now it's the Raven clan with Yakumo. Like, cool. I guess it doesn't really make a difference or whatever, but there's already like 5 they could have used in this setting alone. But back to the game at hand. Ragebound executes its story perfectly. It does what it does, nothing particularly special. If anything, it's ultra derivative, and it complements the game just fine. I don't ever want to hear a single fat, stinky, greasy, ass-smelling troglodyte in my ear say, "Oh dude, you don't need a story about..." Shut up. Please shut the fuck up. Don't bring up the John Carmack quote. Don't mention this. Don't mention that. Story isn't necessary in a game. True, but a basic or even good story does nothing but improve one. It adds an additional layer of personal engagement on top of video games already being an interactive medium. Would you rather have a game that makes you feel good in gameplay and have a shitty story, or good gameplay and a good story? Don't lie to me. Don't lie to me, bro. Regardless, in terms of characters, I can say for certain that Kenji is a worthy successor to Ryu after this game, especially if his ending is canon, and in a perfect world, he and Komori would return in a sequel, or better yet, get their own 3D game. Shit, Team Ninja's already doing some weird double character shit in Neo 3. Why not implement this in a 3D Ninja Gaiden game? Kenji's definitely earned his place after this, and I pray they don't waste his or Komori's potential by just dropping them off here in this game and never using them again. They're sure as hell not going to show up in Ninja Gaiden 4. Like, how later down the line does this game take place? Honestly, why didn't they just use Ragebound to lead into another Ninja Gaiden game with a similar setting? The setup seemed perfect with Ryu going off to America like in the NES games. Maybe make it a 3D riff on those games and really go back to the roots. Basically pulling a reverse Ragebound in that case. So much groundwork was laid here that'll probably just never go anywhere. I just don't want to feel cheated with getting introduced to these guys here and just never seeing them again in favor of Yakumo being the mainstay protagonist if this series ever keeps chugging along past Ninja Gaiden 4. I think if the Year of the Ninja ends up well for Koei Tecmo, we might see these guys again in another 2D game at the very least, which I can live with. Nonetheless, I'm still looking forward to Ninja Gaiden 4. And for full clarification, I don't expect this game to be a disappointment. I'm just nitpicking the inconsistent world here and there, which isn't really a big deal. I think it's abundantly clear that this game was probably never meant to be a Ninja Gaiden game, and it was a new Platinum action title that through some weird happenstance became a Ninja Gaiden game late in development. How Ryu only has one weapon with the rest being DLC, and last time that didn't go over well with the general fanbase. At the very least, Yakumo looks undeniably fun to play, so hopefully in a worst case scenario, there's still value in this game as a Platinum classic, and a mediocre Ninja Gaiden game. But I guess we'll have to wait until October to see. Well, that's all I got for Ragebound. Hopefully I can get this Ninja Gaiden 2 Black video out before 4 drops, but until then, this is it. Thanks for watching.